Gonna wreck it. Ooh, Wreck-It Ralph 2.
This is Kevin F. Pope with the Pope's Perspective, and my take on Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. This is a film that I have been anticipating all year. I have really been looking forward to this film, and I was blown away. I mean, I was really gaming up for this film. I had no idea it was going to be as good as it was. And I love the first Wreck-It Ralph film. This one's even better. It starts off the film, you got the friendship with Ralph and Vanellope from the first film. And so you have a little bit of montage there. A little fun reference. I thought it was a little fun when they had the little Tron reference, and Disney owns Tron, so why not? It was fun. I endorse it. Where this film really kicks off, though, it is called Ralph Breaks the Internet. Ralph goes into the internet and it goes all over the place, going to eBay, going to this, they call it BuzzTube, so I guess it's a combination of BuzzFeed and YouTube, and this story was just so much fun, and I mean, there's so much to go off of with the internet, because the internet is so huge, and they went with that. They showed that, oh, the internet is massive. It's this big place, and as soon as Ralph and Vanellope finally enter into the internet, you see that. And so we've got, just like in the first film, you got the inner workings of the arcade. Now you got the inner workings of the internet, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, even when you got little pop-up ads like, oh, you need this, oh, you need this, you want this, and there's like, and Ralph's just like, oh, hey, what's this? Like, oh, this looks really cool. What's this one there? When you're usually looking at, when you're on the internet and you have these ads popping up, you're like, oh, this is annoying. I don't really care about this. I don't want this. But Ralph, it's all new to him, and that was a fun element. And then they actually use that to further the plot, and they're like, oh, well, let's see, we need to get some money so that we can get the wheel on eBay so we can fix Sugar Rush. And so they go with this guy that says like, oh, you can make money for playing video games, and they go into that, and then that leads into eventually Ralph going into the BuzzTube and getting all the likes on that and getting the money. And I have to admit, I do this for fun. I know I don't have a lot of subscribers and viewers. I know a lot of people. I'm starting out at this, and so if I could get a feed just as fast as Ralph, I'm like, oh, let's make some money. That would be cool. But I'm doing this as a hobby. I'm doing this as a passion. If I was doing this to make money right now, then I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. But even so, it was really cool. The key to this film is friendship, and the friendship between Ralph and Vanellope. And then you have the parts where you see their friendship. You see these two friendships, and you saw the friendship form in the first film. And now you've seen where it's gone into the second film. And for Ralph, it's just like he's just living out every day. And now he's got his best friend, and he's just happy with how life is from day. And for Vanellope, it's she loves hanging out with Ralph, but she does wish that there was just a little bit more variation, and she wants something different. And then she finds us in this new game, and it becomes her new dream. And so you've got this, like, you've got the friendships and you got the dreams, and it's like, oh, how can you have your dream and have your friendship? And if you go after your dream, are you gonna lose that friendship? And I love the line. I've only seen the film once, so I may be saying the line wrong, but it's the Gal Gadot character that says to Vanellope on the lines of like, some friends go through changes, but for the good friends, it gets better. Meaning, so it's like sometimes good friends will understand. Good friends will stay with you. And I love that message. And it is true. Like, a good friend will stick by you. A good friend will want you to live your dreams and want you to be happy. And I just thought this film was so touching on the friendship aspects of it. And I love where they went with it on that angle. Another thing that was, so they go into Disney. They go into Oh My Disney. And Vanellope meets the Disney princesses. And when you watch the trailers, you thought, oh, they're going to oversaturate and they're just going to do everything all Disney. And they didn't. In fact, it was quite some time in the film until they did anything Disney. And by the time it got to that point, it was a lot of fun. It was fun seeing these characters. It was fun seeing the Disney princesses talking about the Disney princess tropes and just kind of laughing about it. And they're kind of making fun of themselves in the way, because Disney knows it's like, well, we've had these Disney princess tropes and some of them are kind of dated, and they just went with it and had so much fun with that. And I loved every moment with the Disney princesses. It was a kick. And I have to say, the very end moment with the Disney princesses, best use of Disney princesses ever. I was just like, oh, whoa, this is so cool. Like, I was just roaring with laughter with what they did with the Disney princesses at that moment. They just let's just say they took the Disney princesses, with each princess with what they know best, with what they're good at, and they used it to their advantage in some very creative ways. And for once, the Disney princesses saved the day. Sorry if that's too much of a spoiler, but this film's not about Disney princesses. Disney princesses are a part of this film. They're a fun part of this film. So, minor spoiler, but that part was really, really fun. And so, I also have to point out there was a really fun moment when Vanellope first comes into the Disney world, and there were lots of different Disney characters popping up, both Disney and Pixar characters popping around, and I just went berserk when I saw Humphrey the Bear. A lot of people may not recognize Humphrey the Bear. It's a character from old Disney cartoons. And I used to watch him as a kid. I'd see the reruns of these things, and I knew who Humphrey the Bear was. And they actually showed him in his true animated form. They didn't make him a digitalized version. He was actually an animated version, and I thought that was actually kind of fun that they did that. And it was just kind of fun seeing that little thing, like, hey, that's Humphrey the Bear. And I gotta see this film again to see what other references they've got on there. And of course, as soon as they go into the internet, you're seeing things left and right. You're seeing Google, you're seeing YouTube. They do have BuzzTube, but you do see YouTube, and they even talk about YouTube. This video is on YouTube. I guess I'm promoting YouTube, but it's got everything. Internet Movie Database. And I don't think it was overblown, because they're going to the internet. They're gonna see these things. It made the film more, and it was really, this film was so much fun. Wreck-It Ralph 2, go out and see it. If you liked the first film, go out and see it. I strongly recommend this film. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. I know I complained on the name, but all is forgiven. Don't judge a book by its cover, or in this case, don't judge a movie by its name. Not that I thought this film was going to be bad, but this film exceeded all my expectations. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Awesome, awesome, awesome all around. I loved this film so much. And that's the Pulse Perspective. Warning. The end of this video could contain spoilers. There are no specific plot details revealed, but these things said could be perceived as spoilers. You have been warned. I was so happy by the time it got to the end of the film, and I'm like, there's no surprise villain. thank you, Disney. Thank you for not doing the surprise villain. Okay, so the last few Disney films that have come out, Moana may be an exception. They kind of did it in Moana, but in a different way. But apart from Moana, or even Moana, Disney's been doing the surprise villain. You'll have characters come out and they're like, oh, I'm really the villain. You thought I was a good guy, but I'm really the villain. And it's getting so tiresome and old, and you look at these villains and you can look at them compared to the classic Disney villains that you get to see conniving and scheming throughout the whole thing, and they're just not as fun, and they just come across to them like, please no more surprise villain. So I was really, really happy that this film did not pull out the surprise villain. I was like, yay, no surprise villain. And you had the Gal Gadot character, and they could have turned her into a villain. It's like, oh, well, here's my real intentions. This is what I'm out. You think I'm your friend. I'm not really your friend. And they could have done it with Yes. I love that name. It's just so simple. Yes. They could have pulled it off, but I loved her even more that they didn't make her the villain, that they've actually got this character that they come up with. And you know what? In the end, she wants to help them. She does help them. She's not about like, I've got my own intentions and my own motives, and I'm not going to help you. Oh, you wanted me to do that? Sorry, we're going to take a left turn and go somewhere else, and I'm going to reveal my big secret plan. They didn't go that way. No, she really legitimately wanted to help them, and I'm so glad they did that. I love the character all the more because of that, and maybe this is a minor rant, because I think with the surprise villains, it's kind of giving the message like, well, you can't go meet somebody and you think they're all friendly and nice, and then you turn out they've got other motives and they're really bad and they're not going to help you. And I'm not saying that there's not people out in the world that pretend to be nice and then they turn out to be not so great, because unfortunately they are. But if you keep on doing these films and saying like, oh, these people are actually the villain, it can send the wrong message saying like, everybody has a intention of what they really want and they're really not going to help you because they're after something else. And that's a bad message. There actually wasn't any villain, surprisingly enough, but it didn't need villain. If anything, the villain came off of Ralph's intentions became the villain, really. Ralph wasn't the villain, but Ralph furthered the plot of the story because his intentions brought up things that happened, and that became the big nemesis of the plot. And I really liked that as well, because sometimes you don't need a villain. And this film worked out so well. Like I said, I love this film better than the first film, and I loved the first Wreck-It Ralph. Also, back on the tangent, I will say this. Wreck-It Ralph is the one film with the surprise villain that actually works, but with King Candy, he wasn't a nice guy at the beginning, and you got to see him plotting and scheming, but you later found out who he really was. So it was a surprise with King Candy, but at the same time you still got to see him be the villain before it was revealed who he was. But I was so happy that this new one did not do that old trope, and for that alone, this film ranks higher on my favorite films of the year than Incredibles 2. I loved Incredibles 2. But my biggest problem with Incredibles 2 was the villain. And this film was much better in that regard.